ever knew about Canty's fate. His body was never found. Until last December, that's when remains recovered from the crash site were identified by scientists using DNA analysis. This Tuesday, more than a dozen relatives of the late airman, who was just 22 when he was killed in action, will head to Arlington National Cemetery, where Sergeant Canty will finally be laid to rest. Karen McHugh, Fox News.
I'm Joe Chiro, Fox News Radio.
Olivia from Washington. Laid off and trying to keep our little kids from realizing that Mommy and Daddy haven't eaten in a while.
Roger from California. I'm grateful we could afford our son's surgery. I'm nervous that now we can't really afford food.
Daniel from California. Choosing whether to pay the rent or pay to fix the car to get to work doesn't leave us with much at all. Now we can't even pay for meals.
Donna from Louisiana. The storm just hit, and we went from donating to the food bank to needing it.
Keisha from South Carolina. I've been skipping meals so my 2 kids can eat, but filling up on water doesn't really work.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Turn off the fake news and turn on Center Right Radio. Online now at centerright.live.
Today we decided to walk to school. The light counted. 15, 14,
41, 31, 13. We took
a left on Carroll
Cool
Street. Danny's smart, but he gets distracted.
I
realized he forgot his homework. I hope he doesn't have another bad day at school.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. That's why there's Understood.org, a free resource for the parents of the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues. Go from misunderstanding to Understood.org. Brought to you by Understood and the Ad Council.
And it's a beautiful day here at the Search Engine and Digital Marketing Race in beautiful Tempe, Arizona. The horses lining up at the gate now, waiting for the bell. And they're off. It's just a two-way race today between your business brand and your relentless competition. Oh, but wait a minute. You've just hired Warhorse Agency for your digital marketing and are quickly taking the lead in your market. Well, hang on to your seat, though. Your competition started their own Google AdWords pay-per-click campaign and are trying to catch up to you now. Good for you, though. They have no idea what they're doing. But don't worry yet. Your digital marketing jockey at Warhorse Agency tirelessly regains the lead with a great viral Facebook ad as well as your own Google SEO and pay-per-click campaign ran by a Warhorse, true leading generating professional. Holy smokes, your business just got a major lead. You're on the first page of Google now, and as they approach the finish line, your business wins. Thanks, Warhorse Agency, for another smashing victory. Contact us today for your free digital marketing evaluation. Visit us at www.gowarhorse.com today.
You're listening to America's favorite political discussion on Center Right Radio.
Live from the Center Right Radio studios in Tempe, Arizona, the Chips and Salsa Show. Conservative conversation, picoso, not mocoso, with Don Jorge Ortiz and Alicia Lara. George, former California Democrat union man turned legislative GOP chairman.
And Alice, former New Mexico Democrat turned legislative GOP district state committee woman.
Together, they are your Chips and Salsa Show hosts.
Get your guac on now with George Ortiz and Alice Lara.
Chips and Salsa Show. I'm Alice Lara here, Saturday afternoon, 4 p.m. Noticeably absent is my good friend, my radio partner in crime, Don Jorge, George Ortiz. He had to work today because he is one of the hardest men working in Arizona today. Republicans, I should qualify that a little bit. So he won't be here today, but that's okay. We have a fantastic show for you. We're going to bring on here in a few minutes my good friend Sergio Arellano, who is running in Congressional District 3 in Arizona. So you will not want to miss this show. It's going to be great. I want to welcome all of our chipsters to the show. I missed you guys last weekend. I was in my land of enchantment, Las Cruces, New Mexico, my hometown, Las Cruces, New Mexico. And congratulations to my nephew Brad and his new bride Wendy. And that's Brad, Mr. and Mrs. Brad Beasley. It was a fantastic wedding. We had a great time, and maybe if I can find some mariachi music, I'm going to play that for you, because it was awesome. It was a great time. I want to invite you, if you are watching us on Facebook, and you know what, I'll share that in just a moment. You can also go to Center Right Radio and watch it from that Facebook live stream. And please share that. Please tell your friends about us, because we're growing very fast. And I want to give kudos to our technical director, Julian Allison. Woo, always taking care of us. Thank you so much. And a lot of you remember Julian from Central City Radio, where we got our start. So he's helping us out now here on Center Right Radio. We're very excited to have him. Our producer is Sonia Seeger, and she isn't in today. I know she's watching us from afar. She takes care of our cocotazos and our whole enchiladas. We may do a little bit of that. It just depends if we can get to it. But those are always a lot of fun. There's a good one. You know, one of the ones that happened this week is the lady who decided to climb the Statue of Liberty. There's some interesting ones. Always some good cocotazos out there. Also, our music is done by my nephew David Beasley, and our logo by my great niece Monica Lara. And we want to mention the Center Right Radio founder and director, and our executive producer, Brandon Jones. Thank you, Brandon. He's out there on the other side of the wall taking care of us. Okay. All right, we got some housekeeping to take care of too. I want to let you know next week we have Steve Sandoval, and Steve has been a former guest on our show, and he's working on a new project about recruiting Latinos for the Republican Party, something that our good friend Sergio Arellano has been doing that very actively too. We can talk about that as well. I also want to promote my good friend Janet Contreras, who was on our show a couple weeks ago, and she goes under the pen name of Safar Chamuel. And she wrote Royal Birthright Lost, and we didn't get enough time with her. We're hoping to have her back sometime. And what she's done, if you missed that particular show, what she did is when she was a little girl, her grandmother used to tell her Bible stories and kind of made all the Bible come to life that way. So she's written a book about it, and she's a great Republican. In fact, she also ran for Congress in our District 7. I think it was still 7 at that point. She didn't win, but she did it with a lot of heart, and she brought a lot of us together. And now she's doing her part to try to get people back to God. All right, so what I'm going to do, I think I'm going to go ahead. I just want to make sure that I've hit everything up here that I want to. Oh, I do want to say we have some birthdays. I want to wish a happy birthday to some of our followers out there. And one is Leslie Van Borsum. She's always following us. I appreciate that. Leslie, happy birthday. And happy birthday to Carolyn Lowry. Those of you, I knew Carolyn Lowry. I first heard of her. She used to call herself the Queen of South Phoenix. She's an awesome lady. So happy birthday, Carolyn Lowry. And happy birthday, Lauren Spivak. And Lauren has been on our show as well. He writes about economics. If you want to just Google him, if you want to learn very easily and simply Econ 101 and how capitalism works, he is fantastic. He's written books, like Cat in the Hat type books, to explain it, and he tours the country. Hopefully he'll be back here soon. Another very good friend and very active Republican, I know Sergio knows her, is Virginia Chernenke. And she had a birthday today too, so happy birthday. And I'm going to go ahead and just bring Sergio on because I have a couple more announcements that I want to bring him. I feel like I'm being rude because you're here at the microphone.
No.
Welcome, Sergio Arellano.
Alice, thank you so much. You know, I can help you with your house cleaning as well.
Excellent.
And so, that being said, can I wish a happy birthday to a special somebody out there?
Please do.
My daughter turns 7 on Monday.
Aww.
But because we're here on the radio today, I'd like to give her a shout out if she is watching us, which I'm sure she will be.
That's awesome.
And I want to say happy birthday to Brianna. She'll be 7 years old.
Happy birthday, Brianna. 7's a special birthday. That's
it is.
Really nice.
They run the world at 7. They know everything.
Oh, for sure. Oh, it's great. That's a great catch. And I also want to say, talking about 7-year-olds and young kids, while in Las Cruces, I have two great nephews that were playing baseball, and they were in a little tournament, and I talk about them here. They're called Los Raptors. That's what they call. I should have worn their shirt today. But they made 5th place for the whole state of New Mexico. So you know what? That's really good because they've come up from last year. So way to go, guys.
Yeah.
And that's Zachary and Bo Beasley. So congratulations, mijos. You guys did really, really good job. All right, very good. We are going to have the Prather Point here in a minute. Point, I'm trying to change names here.
Prather Point.
Prather Point.
Yes.
You remember Jeff Prather from the James T. Harris Show?
Yeah. He's awesome. I like him.
Oh, he's great. And he was here a couple of weeks ago. He was actually in studio. And he's reporting on the dark state still. It's actually the deep state. I call it the dark state because it just seems like the dark state city.
Well, it's so convoluted nowadays. It is a dark state.
It really is. It really is a dark state. Julian, we have a few minutes. Do you think we should just go ahead and play it, or you need a minute to set up there, buddy?
We're good.
We're good? Okay, well, let's go ahead and play it, Sergio.
Sure.
And then I can bring you back. We can talk about it, and we'll talk more about your campaign.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Okay, so I want to let you listen to Jeffrey Prather, and he is Warrior School founder. Jeffrey Prather, a retired, he was a veteran, and he is a fast and furious whistleblower. So without further ado, we give you Jeff Prather with The Prather Point.
Everybody, Jeff Prather here, ex-DEA, DIA, Army Military Intelligence whistleblower on the Chips and Salsa Show with this week's Prather Point. So over the last decade, those who have been listening to me have commented upon how I'm able to predict and prophesize what's going to happen next. Yes, I am a smart guy, but the reason I can do it is because what they are doing now to Trump is what the DEA, DOJ, and Attorney General Holder did to me. Now it is the FBI, the DOJ, and somewhat the Attorney General. But the latest testimony or non-testimony from corrupt FBI counterintelligence ex-boss, not an investigator. They're not supposed to do investigations, but I'm talking about Peter Strzok, who took over the investigation, just like Comey did, took over the investigation saying to avoid political entanglements when they were actually had a complete political agenda, is we're seeing now that Strzok was texting his extramarital affair lover, DOJ employee Lisa Page, that he knew the FISA court judge, and that they had to hurry up and finish the Clinton investigation and get into and rush through multiple FISA applications to stop Trump. So this is more evidence that the DOJ, the FBI, are not the impartial professionals they say they are. And of course, whatever the left accuses you of, I learned this the hard way, they are actually doing. So Strzok's attorney is actually accusing the GOP, which stands for Grand Old Party, by the way, because it is the oldest and the grandest party of the two parties, by the way, accused them of politicizing, yes, politicizing his interview, his closed-door interview. And of course, most of the questions he declined to answer anyway. Of course, everybody on the left still wants Trump to walk into the Mueller investigation. The Mueller investigations are questions about thoughts. What was Trump thinking? Because they are now the thought police and the feeling police. But regardless, we are seeing this fall apart more and more every day. The worry, though, is because they timed this around the elections, is Mueller is definitely dragging his investigation out before the midterms, hoping that the Democrats will pick up some seats. Because in the past I've said that the Dems aren't trying to win elections, they're just trying to stay out of jail. Well, actually, they're trying to win some elections now to stay out of jail. But the light is continuing to shine in the darkness, and we are getting our republic back. So that's a good thing. For more Prather, go to jeffreyprather.com, warriorschool.com. This is Jeff Prather on the Chips and Salsa Show with this week's Prather Point.
And that was Jeff Prather with the Prather Point. He always has his pulse on the deep state. And I know it was a little difficult to hear, Sergio, but I know I had heard it before. And one of the main points that Jeff brings out is, you know, at first he was saying that the Democrats are very concerned. So they're trying to stay out of jail, out of prison.
What a concept.
And now it's getting very serious that now they really have to win elections too, or they could be in big trouble. And we know that they're very, very shrewd and very aggressive politicians. And I know we only have a couple minutes. We come back, we have so much to talk about. But if you want to give your take on how you feel about that, especially if your opponent.
Well, you know, it's indicative of what's happening right now. What all the Democrats have is agenda, identity politics. And they really don't have anything they truly believe in. I mean, they line up behind whatever rhetoric is there when they don't even know what it means. Especially given, like, my opponent, he goes on CNN, he says abolish ICE, and then the anchor asks him, do you really want to abolish it? Then he says audit. And then he goes back to abolish and audit, and he didn't know what the difference was. And so it's just indicative of how things are.
You're so right. Well, we have so much to talk about,
Most
including
definitely.
the fact that Hispanics 10% up on Trump, so it's pretty good.
That's amazing.
So don't go away, because I'm Alice Lara, and I'll be back with more of the Chips and Salsa Show here with my special guest, Sergio Arellano. Don't go away, here on Center Right Radio, right here for you.
Olivia from Washington. Laid off and trying to keep our little kids from realizing that mommy and daddy haven't eaten in a while.
Roger from California. I'm grateful we could afford our son's surgery. I'm nervous that now we can't really afford food.
Daniel from California. Choosing whether to pay the rent or pay to fix the car to get to work doesn't leave us with much at all. Now we can't even pay for meals.
Donna from Louisiana. The storm just hit, and we went from donating to the food bank to needing it.
Keisha from South Carolina. I've been skipping meals so my 2 kids can eat, but filling up on water doesn't really work.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Turn off the fake news and turn on Center Right Radio. Online now at centerright.live.
Today we decided to walk to school. The light counted. 15, 14.
41, 31, 13. We
Took a left on Carroll Street. Danny's smart, but he gets distracted.
I
Realized he forgot his homework. I hope he doesn't have another bad day at school.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. That's why there's understood.org, a free resource for the parents of the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues. Go from misunderstanding to understood.org. Brought to you by Understood and the Ad Council.
And it's a beautiful day here at the search engine and digital marketing race in beautiful Tempe, Arizona. The horses lining up at the gate now, waiting for the bell. And they're off. It's just a two-way race today between your business brand and your relentless competition. Oh, but wait a minute. You've just hired Warhorse Agency for your digital marketing and are quickly taking the lead in your market. Well, hang on to your seat, though. Your competition started their own Google AdWords pay-per-click campaign and are trying to catch up to you now. Good for you, though. They have no idea what they're doing. But don't worry yet. Your digital marketing jockey at Warhorse Agency tirelessly regains the lead with a great viral Facebook ad as well as your own Google SEO and pay-per-click campaign ran by a Warhorse, true leading generating professional. Holy smokes, your business just got a major lead. You're on the first page of Google now, and as they approach the finish line, your business wins. Thanks, Warhorse Agency, for another smashing victory. Contact us today for your free digital marketing evaluation. Visit us at www.gowarhorse.com today.
You're listening to America's favorite political discussion on Center Right Radio.
And we're back with the Chips and Salsa Show. Hey, we're here every Saturday at 4 p.m. I'm Alice Lara. My partner in radio crime, Don Jorge, is noticeably absent, but he'll be back next week. I believe he will, unless he gets called away to work again. But we hope that isn't the case. And next week we do have Steve Sandoval, so you will not want to miss that over the break. And in studio with me, I have my good friend Sergio Arellano.
Yes, thank you for having me, Alice.
Hey, you bet. So glad you're here. And he's running in Congressional District number 3. And just for full disclosure, there are 2 other candidates, and we have had them on. And that's the other one is Edna San Miguel is one, and the other is Nick Pearson. And those are all Republicans. And the big mission here is to defeat the entrenched Democrats Congressman Raul Grijalva.
Yes.
And that's your mission. Hey, I want to let our audience know that over the break, you kind of finished off the last segment talking about something that your hopefully opponent, Grijalva, had done, and talking about abolishing ICE. So I went ahead and I did post it to the Chips and Salsa Facebook site, and then you have a site also. Give the audience the name of that. So they
Most definitely. They can find me at Sergio Arellano, and that's Arellano. They can find me on Facebook. Add me there. Everything that happens, it gets shared. And then Twitter as well, Sergio5941. Twitter's a big conduit nowadays, and it's really good. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You have to do social media to be out there. And what I like about it, there's still a lot of kind of old school, I don't know if you agree with me on this, but old school people that have followed politics, and they just kind of think that I'm nuts because of social media. I said, I think in today's world, you have to use that, and that's a weapon that I think Republicans, we don't use it. I think the Democrats are better at it.
I don't think they're better at social media because, they get made fun of more, but
maybe I should say they use it more.
They do use it more, and I think it's getting familiar with it. There's a lot of scams that go online and stuff, and so people are weary of it. And but it just takes a lot of security, and people need to get comfortable with it. But we can harness that as Republicans. It's called groundswell, and you start with a point. If it gets enough traction, enough shares, likes, impressions, then it gets so big and the bubble begins to build. When that bubble builds, it begins to trend, and then the media has to pick it up. And so if we as Republicans go out there and we begin to like, share, and comment on Facebook, it's going to create that groundswell, and it makes a bigger impression. And media has to cover it one way or another, or else they're losing out.
So you're saying Republicans work it.
Most definitely.
Be engaged and do what you got to do. Go on Sergio's site if you like what you see. And that's what's great too. Can directly ask you questions.
Most definitely.
So if you ever have something and you're kind of concerned, or you think, what does Sergio think about this or whatever, go on there and ask him, or message the campaign too. A lot of these campaigns, I've done that before. You can't find them through the website or something. Just go directly to message them on Facebook, and the response is really good. Okay, so let's get down to some business here. I know we've had you on before, so a lot of our listeners, our viewers, they do know who you are.
Well, that's good.
But go ahead and give a background for those that don't. I know you because you've been in the Republican political world here in Arizona for quite a while, and you've been involved with the party.
Yeah.
Give a neat little bio out there to the audience, points that people really should know about you. Brag.
Brag a little. Well, you can read more about me in my bio at arellano4az.com. But I'll just talk a little bit about me. I'm a first-generation American. I was born and raised in Tucson, Arizona. My parents are from Sonora, Mexico. And so that gives me a unique ability to communicate both in English and Spanish. I joined the Army at the age of 17. I joined the Army Infantry April 4th of 2001. And I joined because they gave me a nice bonus, and they said I get to play with guns. So being the big Second Amendment guy that I am, and I've always loved guns, it was just a no-brainer to sign up. Went to Iraq September of 2003 and was there till January of 2005. After that, continued serving, and because of injuries sustained out there, in the war zone and in the military, I got out honorably after 10.5 years in the Army. And then I decided to continue working in my community, help homeless veterans off the streets, and advocate for our vets that continue to be forgotten. And so through that process, I met a couple Congress people, worked on Gabrielle Gifford's Veteran Advisory Council, not knowing anything of politics, and I got involved in politics after she was shot. And I learned what the Republican Party was and what a conservative is, and I identified with the party immediately because of our conservative upbringing as Latinos. And so I just got to work, and I wanted to make it my goal to educate our people, the Latino listeners and viewers and people out there in the community that have only seen a Republican on TV, that never seen one in person. And when we talked to them, we saw that the same thing that I learned that I was a Republican. And so they began to think differently and push back on what the liberal media like, you know, other news stations like Univision and Telemundo and so on and so forth that push a different narrative that's away from our conservatism and our values. And so I worked as a precinct committeeman, a state committeeman, went to the national convention as a delegate for Donald Trump, worked for the Republican National Committee as state director, and also for the Arizona Republican Party and Hispanic initiatives. And so that's how we got to know you and a lot of people, a lot of our viewers and listeners out there. It's been a great ride. And the reason I jump into Congress here is because my veterans got together and created a Draft Arellano for Congress page and movement. And all my vets, you know, pulled a lot of support and convinced me to run, given this guy's track record of boycotting our state, you know, hurting our district. We have high unemployment, high dropout rates. You know, we're struggling a lot, and this guy has done nothing, even to the point to misuse taxpayer funds and show up to, you know, to his office a little tipsy and harassing the women in the workplace. I mean, that can't be allowed.
That's a nice little bio that you just gave.
Thank you.
And I also want to thank you for your service very much.
Thank you so much.
And our listeners and viewers know that what we try to do is feature military moments. So I told Sandra today he's doing double duty. So he's, you know, he's also our military moment. But, you know, 10 years, man, that's great. 10.5 years, you said.
10.5 years.
It's
I tried to push it as much as I could, Alice. I wanted to do my full 20. And unfortunately, God saw it to be something else. And so here we are serving, you know, serving our country in a different capacity, hopefully.
You were supposed to do something else, very definitely. And I know that you've been down in the trenches. And one of the things that we talked about before we started the show is I remember that this week we heard that by 10%, Hispanics are now supporting Trump more.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you'd be surprised. What Trump did was he created a whole animal out there of people that are now waking up to what's going on. We're tired of the left and the right and the politics and this and that, all these promises that get made by both parties. And what Trump just did is he came in and he's just tearing everything apart. He is draining the swamp. And I think the people like that, especially with the tax cuts, you know, the tax breaks, and the fact that he's no BS. And that's what the people want, I think. We're tired of entrenched politicians like Raul Grijalva and people that have been there for 15, 20 years just deteriorating our country and our community.
That is such a long time, and I know that that is overall a big problem in the political world.
Yeah.
Because the founders never meant for that to happen.
Exactly.
Go and serve. You weren't supposed to make a big, long time career out of it, and especially a bad one.
Yeah.
That was not supposed to happen. You know.
We need to implement term limits for sure. I'm all for term limits. Oh yeah, I am. You go do your duty. You know, our founding fathers meant for it to be a public service, right. And instead, what Congress does is it gives itself raises, and they don't have to abide by the same rules that we do. And I don't believe in that. We should, if it's good enough for the American people, it should be good enough for Congress as well.
And I've thought about the term limits. I go back and forth because I really would love if our nation, if our voters were informed enough, we should instill those term limits. So don't elect the same people. But
yeah.
Unfortunately, it isn't the case anymore. So if you did that, I thought, well, maybe, you know, like a senator, maybe 2 terms, and then the equivalent for a representative. Have you thought about what kind of term limits you think would work?
You can do a lot in 12 years if you're actually working for the people. So I agree with 2 terms for Senate. For Congress, maybe 3 terms, 4 max, and then move on, or you know, but don't make a career out of it.
Or especially run for Senate.
Yeah, especially if you have a gerrymander district or something that's created for that. You're hurting the people that you're supposed to represent. Because something happens with people when they go to Washington. I don't get it. Hopefully, I'll remain that level-headed guy from the street, from the south side of Tucson. That grew up on 12th and Valencia down there, and not let the big distractions get to me, because for some reason they go up there and they just forget about where they came from.
And you know what, that's an excellent point, and that's often a question that we ask our candidates that come here, because you do. You go and you hit Washington, and I think you become removed from there. So what do you plan to do should you get elected? And we certainly hope that, man, we hope that we have a Republican in that seat very badly. But you get to Washington, what will you do to ensure that you still have that connection and, like you say, stay streetwise and faithful to your constituents? What are some of your plans for that?
I plan not to stay in Washington, D.C. like a lot of our politicos do. They get elected, they go up there and they just, cover themselves up with a blanket up in D.C. and they stop showing up to our community. They don't hold town halls anymore. They don't actually interact with people. And if they do come out and interact with the folks, us in the community, it's like a secret invitation. Or you got to be part of this little exclusive club for you to know that so on and so forth is running for re-election, or there's something going on with a banking issue at the border, or the agriculture, or illegal immigration, or whatever the concept is. If you're not in that group of people in the know, then you're not going to find out. And that's one of the things that frustrates me the most. Grijalva will show up down there in the community, but only a select few will know about it, right? They won't let the average citizen know because they have a feeling that we're going to call them out or ask questions. And hopefully, I choose to be the guy that wants to answer those questions. I will be there as much as possible. I can't shy away from town halls. That's the reason why we're doing this. We campaign to meet the people and to take their voice up to D.C., not my voice to them.
Excellent. And you got to keep that in mind. I wish every candidate would, and I hope they are if they're listening to this. I hope so. So it's already the end of the second segment. We're going to come back. We have a lot more to talk about, so please don't go away, Chipsters. I'm Alice Lara here with my good friend Sergio Arellano, who's running for Congressional District number 3. So stay with us, and we'll have more of the Chips and Salsa Show here on Center Right Radio, centerright.live, right here for you.
Olivia from Washington. Laid off and trying to keep our little kids from realizing that Mommy and Daddy haven't eaten in a while.
Roger from California. I'm grateful we could afford our son's surgery. I'm nervous that now we can't really afford food.
Daniel from California. Choosing whether to pay the rent or pay to fix the car to get to work doesn't leave us with much at all. Now we can't even pay for meals.
Donna from Louisiana. The storm just hit, and we went from donating to the food bank to needing it.
Keisha from South Carolina. I've been skipping meals so my 2 kids can eat, but filling up on water doesn't really work.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Turn off the fake news and turn on Center Right Radio. Online now at centerright.live.
Today we decided to walk to school. The light counted. 15, 14,
41, 31, 13. We
took a left on Carroll Street. Danny's smart, but he gets distracted.
I
realized he forgot his homework. I hope he doesn't have another bad day at school.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. That's why there's Understood.org, a free resource for the parents of the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues. Go from misunderstanding to Understood.org. Brought to you by Understood and the Ad Council.
And it's a beautiful day here at the search engine and digital marketing race in beautiful Tempe, Arizona. The horses lining up at the gate now, waiting for the bell. And they're off. It's just a two-way race today between your business brand and your relentless competition. Oh, but wait a minute. You've just hired Warhorse Agency for your digital marketing and are quickly taking the lead in your market. Well, hang on to your seat, though. Your competition started their own Google AdWords pay-per-click campaign and are trying to catch up to you now. Good for you, though. They have no idea what they're doing. But don't worry yet. Your digital marketing jockey at Warhorse Agency tirelessly regains the lead with a great viral Facebook ad as well as your own Google SEO and pay-per-click campaign ran by a Warhorse, true leading generating professional. Holy smokes, your business just got a major lead. You're on the first page of Google now, and as they approach the finish line, your business wins. Thanks, Warhorse Agency, for another smashing victory. Contact us today for your free digital marketing evaluation. Visit us at www.gowarhorse.com today.
You're listening to America's favorite political discussion on Center Right Radio.
And we are America's favorite political discussion, especially this afternoon because I'm Alice Lara, one of your hosts here for the Chips and Salsa Show, and we have in studio with us Sergio Arellano, and he's running for Congressional District number 3 here in Arizona. And you know what, guys, if you're out there watching us, you live in another state, and you think, well, you know, what do I care? This guy's gonna, hey, if he gets elected to Congress, he's going to represent you in the whole United States. If you like what you hear, send him a few bucks. Or maybe you know somebody in Arizona that can vote for him. let people know, because that's how we're going to, get our country back and make America great again. Right, Sergio?
Most definitely.
I wanted just to promote, I don't want to forget, my women's club, Central Republican Women of Phoenix. What we're doing, a few of us are putting together a candidate mixer, and that's going to be this Friday. It's Friday the 13th, so you know it's going to be a good one.
Scary.
Right? Yeah, and that's going to be from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Half Moon Windy City Sports Grills Colangelo Room. And the address there is 2121 East Highland Avenue. We're hoping that Sergio can make it. Just drop by. If you even just want to just drop in, drop out, there's going to be a lot of candidates. I'm going to tell you all about them, who's going to be there. It's a no-host happy hour, but we do have happy hour prices for appetizers and beverages. We're also accepting donations of bottled water for local veterans shelter. If you have any questions, go ahead and email Robin, and that's AZ1RED, AZ1RED at Cox.net, excuse me. And Central Republican Women of Phoenix, and guess what? We're celebrating, Sergio, 60 years.
Wow.
That's our 60th. So, if you want to come, maybe you're interested in joining a women's club, please come, fill out an application and join us. We also have an auxiliary line with men. I don't know, are you?
Yeah, even if you're not a woman for the women's club, you can be an auxiliary member. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to give you a little list of all the people that are coming, and like I said, we're hopefully Sergio can join us as well. But confirmed right now, we do have gubernatorial candidate Ken Bennett will be there. Also, Arizona Treasurer candidate Joanne Sabah. For Superintendent of Public Instruction, Tracy Livingston plans to join us. For the Arizona Corporation Commission, Eric Sloan and Jim O'Connor will be there. Also, a U.S. Senate candidate, Dr. Kelly Ward, will be there. For CD9, Dr. Steve Ferrara, or it might be Ferrara. I don't know if he's Italian or Latino. Do you know?
I do not.
That's terrible. I don't know. For Senate LD28, we have State Senator Kate Brophy McGee and Ken Bowers. We also have LD18 candidate for the House, State House, is Farhana Shifa. And for Legislative District 16 for the House, Lisa Godzich. And our own Central Republican Women of Phoenix member, Lisa Atkins, who is running for the Central Arizona Water Conservation District. And of course, one of our headliners too is Moses Sanchez, who is running for
Mayor of Phoenix, right?
Right,
yeah.
Exactly.
Good luck to Moses Sanchez.
Yeah, Moses is a really great candidate. He's a good candidate. So please join us if you want. Again, that's July 13th. It's this Friday at the Half Moon Windy City Sports Girls Colangelo Room, and that's 2121 East Highland Avenue. All Republicans are welcome. Even if you're an independent, we might let you in. I think we might be cool about that. Because we want you to meet candidates. And this is a great opportunity. As you know, Sergio, if you can get out there, like if there was any way possible, because I know you've done this because you've canvassed neighborhoods and hope it, and you could meet and shake everybody's hand and get to know them, you have such a good chance that they vote for you because they get to know you.
Most definitely. Yeah.
And hate you or like you. But most of the time, they meet you and you have good stuff to say, they're going to like you.
Yeah. Hey, you don't expect them to agree with you 100% of the time anyway. So there's going to be differences.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I want to ask you, because I know that you are out in the field a lot.
Most definitely.
So, and what I love to hear from you, Sergio, because you are, is tell me what the climate is out there when people think about Trump, think about the policies, think about you. Give me a nice picture of what you're learning out there in the field.
I can give you a very good picture. It comes down to when you want to see about Trump and what they think about it. You got to keep in mind that Congressional District 3 only came out like 20% for Trump. They all voted for Hillary Clinton. Yeah, they don't like his approach to things. They like the policy part, but they agree that, or they tend to think that if he stays quiet and isn't disrespectful to people, he'd be a better president. But they like the policy so far, and they can do more. We can do more. So that's what I hear on the Donald Trump side. As far as the district, lack of jobs, big time. Jobs in the economy. You got people graduating college with $50,000 in debt now that have these degrees, these bachelor's, masters, that are working a minimum wage part-time job because they can't find anything. And so Congressional District 3, along with Southern Arizona and parts of the rest of the state, are suffocating because of the lack of jobs. And this representative has done nothing to bring a single opportunity to people. And I think that that momentum will help push us forward in the election. And it's when I win, not if I win. And so I also learned that I toured the Yuma border, and I got to hang out with the sheriff out there, and he's a supporter of ours as well. And so I got to see both sides of the argument where people say you can't build a wall, right, because it's physically impossible. But you know what happens when the terrain runs out where you can build a wall? There's a sensor at the end of it in the Yuma sector. What a concept, right? Why? Technology, exactly. So even though it's not possible to build on these rocks and these formations and the hills, you can place something there to do that. And Yuma is a shining example. They saw their drug trafficking, crimes, abductions, human trafficking, everything that's bad, that's being run by the cartels, when they funded that wall and they put a triple layer fence and then boosted with sensors and so on and so forth, they saw their crime and everything decrease by 85 to 90%.
Wow.
Down there in the Yuma sector. Why can't we do that down in the Tucson area? I'm flabbergasted by the fact that we don't have a representative that's willing to advocate for these areas for us. And we can do it. We can replicate the model, but you need a strong voice there.
So you definitely would be working on that element. I want to ask you about jobs. So what would you do a little different than someone who's not doing something right now to try to bring more jobs? You're saying a lot of people work part-time, and we have a booming economy. Things are rocking. What is not being done that needs to be done, Sergio?
Phoenix is doing good. Okay, it's always been the great state of Maricopa.
Yeah, that's true.
But in the outer areas, what we need to do as a congressman, look, we passed some nice tax cuts for corporations. We also did some tax cuts for the middle class American, but they sunset after 10 years, right? We need to go up there and advocate to make that permanent all across the board, just like the corporations have it. Secondly, you can also go up there and advocate for tax cuts for the small business owner. They're being choked out, and especially in the state of Arizona, we're seeing minimum wage increase year after year, right? Because we got to implement the minimum wage increases, and that causes the small business owner to cut back and provide only the minimal opportunities, and it's choking out life in areas of the district. Santa Cruz County is the third poorest county in the entire state of Arizona. Yuma County faces severe high unemployment during certain parts of the year. They go as high as 24%.
Oh my God.
Tucson, which encompasses that area as well, as part of the district, is the 7th poorest metropolitan city in the entire nation. So what can we do, right? You're asking, because all politicians always say jobs and how are you going to do it? Aside from the tax cuts, we got to fully fund and secure our border. What happens with that? It allows more trade to pass through, and we could capitalize on that commerce. Right now, we're working at half staff down in the Nogales Port of Entry. Yuma needs help with their expansion. Recently, the current Congressman Grijalva let $230 million worth of border upgrades and security fall off the budget because he was not there yet again to advocate on our behalf. You can't be doing that. Once you fully staff the border, what happens? We begin to catch more drugs, more of the bad parts, and we also allow commerce to flow freely. You can't be waiting in line 3 or 4 hours to come across to the United States for someone that wants to spend money or someone that wants to do business here. We got to make it easier. And so that's another way we're going to create jobs. And then, lastly, I tie in education to this because we can be providing more funding for our kids to go into some sort of vocational training. I want them to have the same opportunities that I did when I was going through middle school and high school. We used to have wood shop and auto mechanic and small little trade trainings, but we don't have that anymore. We've done such a good job in society in pushing our kids over to college, and if you go to college, you'll have a degree and you'll be great and you'll have a nice job and high-end paying opportunities. But it's not happening right now because they don't have that technical proficiency to actually implement it. And what happens when you do this, if you give those kids or these youth the vocational opportunities like they do in Tucson, we have children that are graduating high school in heavy equipment, machinery, and operation. So they can use the excavators and everything else. And it attracted an industry like Caterpillar down there because we're providing a workforce. The same thing in Desert View High School in Tucson. They're churning out people that can do 3D printing. it encompasses geometry, trigonometry at a high school age for these kids, and now they have a contract with a rocket manufacturer where they make these little spokes and wheels out of 3D printers. And it attracted another job opportunity because we're churning out a workforce. So why can't we do that? Get these kids educated and trained in critical jobs that we have a lack of now. You can't find plumbers out in the community. You can't find welders. You can't find anything in the construction trade either. We're growing and there's nobody to fill those positions, so why not provide that opportunity? Our kids then don't have to move in back with parents. Then they can pay taxes into our system so that Social Security can continue to live and thrive. We need to protect Social Security. And, that's how I plan on being that voice and that advocate to bring jobs to an area that's been suffering for so long.
I think you're certainly right. The gentleman, Mike Rowe is always talking about
yes.
That, and how you don't have those positions. And frankly, he has some kind of a program where he gives scholarships out so people can learn that. And he's even having a tough time getting them to be interested in it. So the revival and interest in that is so good. And not everybody's fit to go to college and do whatever it is. Like they're not successful anyway. And so many kids are still living at home, and they come out with that debt. Why? That just puts them in employment bondage once they're out of college.
Exactly.
So I think that's a really good thing to fight for. How about the younger voter out there? I know that you're very good also at talking to youth. Do you think that more younger people, and I'm talking, under 30, are getting a little more interested and engaged in politics?
The millennials, there has to be some sort of reason for them to come out and get mobilized. What we're talking about right now, for some, it resonates really well, but for others, they'd rather, stick to the social media and the Snapchat and things like that. So we're always constantly trying to engage them. Got to give them a purpose. The way we did it down in Nogales when we had the Donald Trump election, we had the first ever victory office in Nogales that, thanks to the state party and people willing to do something down there, we could create. And so what we did was we turned that victory office into a cool place, a place to hang out after school. A lot of these areas in rural Arizona have nothing to do. They're bored, or, so what we did to attract them was, hey, come have pizza, watch TV, bring some games, and help us do this. And so we hired a few of the millennial kids that were in the community looking for a job. Once again, lack of employment. And so we got that victory office running, and then because they have friends and the friends don't have nothing to do, they'd invite them over and say, hey, come hang out with me while I'm phone banking and everything else. So while they were there, we give them a tablet and a script and a phone, and then all of a sudden you saw a core of 5 millennials hanging out. So all of a sudden we had 110 millennials phone banking, doing Trump trains, getting out the vote because they're tired of the situation that they find themselves in. But you got to be willing to invest yourself and your time and your effort into that community and show that you truly care.
Fantastic. Good stuff. Okay, we got to pay some bills now, but we'll be right back with the last segment, believe it or not. I'm Alice Lotta here on the Chips and Salsa Show. Don't go away. We'll be right back with Sergio Arellano, candidate for CD3. Stay with us.
Olivia from Washington. Laid off and trying to keep our little kids from realizing that mommy and daddy haven't eaten in a while.
Roger from California. I'm grateful we could afford our son's surgery. I'm nervous that now we can't really afford food.
Daniel from California. Choosing whether to pay the rent or pay to fix the car to get to work doesn't leave us with much at all. Now we can't even pay for meals.
Donna from Louisiana. The storm just hit, and we went from donating to the food bank to needing it.
Keisha from South Carolina. I've been skipping meals so my 2 kids can eat, but filling up on water doesn't really work.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Turn off the fake news and turn on Center Right Radio. Online now at centerright.live.
Today we decided to walk to school. The light counted. 15, 14.
41, 31, 13. We took a left on Carroll Street.
Danny's smart, but he gets distracted.
I
Realized he forgot his homework. I hope he doesn't have another bad day at school.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. That's why there's Understood.org, a free resource for the parents of the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues. Go from misunderstanding to Understood.org. Brought to you by Understood and the Ad Council.
And it's a beautiful day here at the search engine and digital marketing race in beautiful Tempe, Arizona. The horses lining up at the gate now, waiting for the bell. And they're off. It's just a two-way race today between your business brand and your relentless competition. Oh, but wait a minute. You've just hired Warhorse Agency for your digital marketing and are quickly taking the lead in your market. Well, hang on to your seat, though. Your competition started their own Google AdWords pay-per-click campaign and are trying to catch up to you now. Good for you, though. They have no idea what they're doing. But don't worry yet. Your digital marketing jockey at Warhorse Agency tirelessly regains the lead with a great viral Facebook ad as well as your own Google SEO and pay-per-click campaign ran by a Warhorse, true leading generating professional. Holy smokes, your business just got a major lead. You're on the first page of Google now, and as they approach the finish line, your business wins. Thanks, Warhorse Agency, for another smashing victory. Contact us today for your free digital marketing evaluation. Visit us at www.gowarhorse.com today.
You're listening to America's favorite political discussion on Center Right Radio.
We are back with the Chips and Salsa Show. I'm Alice Lara. I can't believe it's been a great show. We were in our last segment, and we have in the studio with us Sergio Arellano, who is running for CD3. That's Congressional District 3. It's kind of the southern part of our state. But you do have a little chunk of Maricopa, right?
I have a nice chunk of Maricopa, and for our listeners and viewers, let me just tell you a little bit about it. You know, we encompass all of Santa Cruz County. So that is Sonoita, Patagonia, you get Nogales, Tubac, Arivaca, you get the Ruby area, so that's one border there. Then you go up to, all the way up the interstate, all the way to Tucson, you get the University of Arizona area, and then you head south-southwest. We encompass all the way to Ajo, Y, Lukeville, which is our second port of entry, and then we come on up, again, up the interstate and go to Gila Bend. Then we go to Buckeye, Goodyear, and continue on up. We split Goodyear with Debbie Lesko, and then we come into Avondale. Then we do Tonopah, Tolleson, a little bit of Glendale, and then South Yuma County, Southwest Yuma County, and that is the San Luis, our third border and port of entry. And so it's a very big, humongous district, and our fight truly is getting the Republican voters to turn out. I can't stress this enough to our listeners and viewers. You know, Chips and Salsa is doing a great job in reaching the community, and you guys need to share and like and comment and post so that other Republicans, other conservatives can see what we're doing and also motivate them to get out and vote. That person that's in there now, Congressman Grijalva, you know, Gabby Saucedo Mercer, the last person to challenge him, came within 12,000 votes. And we had 35,000 Republicans stay home. Can you imagine if maybe half turned out?
So frustrating to hear that.
It's very frustrating. This guy is not liked. He's got scandals up the wazoo, and we can really capitalize. So tune in and share and like, and let's motivate our base to turn out.
I think that's a really good message. And you have such a big district. If anybody out there, I mean, I always tell people this, if you haven't run for office, go help on a campaign, even if it's a little campaign for a school board or whatever, because you need to get a flavor of what's involved. So can you imagine, he just described this big giant area of Arizona. Maybe you're not familiar with Arizona, but what he described, it's not just a matter of getting in the car and going here really quick, 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there. No, you're on the freeway, and some of those are rural areas, and to hit all those places in such a short amount of time, you need ambassadors out there.
Most definitely.
And that's why shows like ours, you can have the little video, you can pass on the video, say, well, you know, what do you think about this guy? Well, you know what? I saw him at Chips and Salsa. Go check him out. And then they get a good little picture and a little window into what you think and how you're approaching this whole thing.
And they get to see I'm a real person. Right? I'm not a ogre that gets painted or smeared or anything like that, you know?
He's real, live in studio. Hey, I do also want to ask you, go ahead and give out your website and all your information, phone numbers, all that.
Most definitely. You guys can reach us on the website at Arellano4, number 4, or F-O-R, Arellano4az.com. Our phone number is on the website. What a concept is that?
Do you know how many people tell me, I can't find a phone number on the candidate's website?
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah, most definitely. That's the biggest thing, because people do have questions. And that phone number is going to stay the same as long as I'm running and being elected to office. So I don't plan on changing that. And we always want to hear from people. And so you can follow us on Sergio5941 at Twitter. Follow us on Twitter at Sergio5941. And also our Facebook page, Sergio Arellano. And so we're very accessible, very reachable, and we look forward to hearing from you guys.
It's so important. I'm so glad you are. I also want to give a shout out to Liz. She's patiently been sitting here helping us out. She helped me put the banner up.
Yeah, that's a nice banner.
Yeah, it's a very nice banner, and tell people about that. And if you've seen this too, I want to say, if you like this, share it again. Just put it on your Facebook site, or you can also go to Center Right Radio. We keep all the podcasts there. You can take that link and then you can email it to someone.
Most definitely.
And you say, check this guy out. And even if they watch just a few minutes, they get a pretty good idea if they like you or not. The impressions are there. And I can't encourage that enough. Okay, I want to talk about a couple of national things that happened this week.
Yeah.
Including the fact that there was a gal that won an election in the Democratic Party, and she's a social democrat, right? Do I have that right? Socialist Democrat?
I think it's communist, basically. It's very extreme.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think you're right, yeah.
It's very extreme, but it's indicative of what's on the ground right now. I mean, what are your thoughts? What does that say about our country? That they were willing to elect this person that's way far to the left. I think she's borderline along with Raul Grijalva at this point.
I think it does say a lot, and it makes you wonder about the direction of the Democrat Party. As I watch the TV pundits and the shows, they're saying, oh no, this is just a little fraction of our party. But isn't it Tom Pettis, who's the DNC chair or something?
And even, I'm not familiar.
Even he's like saying, oh, my daughter said this was the future of the party.
Oh, yeah.
And it makes me nervous, to be honest with you. It's not, if your mom and dad were Democrats, and I started out as a Democrat because I thought that's what I was supposed to be, but it's really a little bit uncomfortable for me almost to even talk about it. Unfortunately, we don't have to worry about that in the Republican Party. That I have seen anyway, but I think you have something there when you're talking about your own opponent, because if I remember correctly, and tell me if I'm wrong, but wasn't he seen to be a member of the Socialist Democrat Party at one point, or am I thinking about another candidate?
Yeah, he was. I think he was chair of the Progressive, and I think it was Socialist. Yeah, the Socialist Caucus. If you look, there's a map out there, and they get all the members of Congress, and they put them in little bubbles, and they have that graph. He is to the far end, to the left of that graph. I mean, that is, when you talk about communism and socialism and everything that is bad, he is only to the right of one other person on that graph, and that person is just out of this world. So when you look at that, where he's trying to take us with his views, and you look at where we're at as a country, that's way out of line.
That says a lot, and I also think that Republican candidates are going to have to be very bold and call the candidates out on what they do, just like you did right there, and to be unafraid, and to just call it as you see it. The other thing, we usually have our cocotazos and our whole enchiladas, but we're kind of running, we're getting close to this segment. But I want to mention, too, for the whole enchilada, if you go to our Facebook site, Chips and Salsa Facebook site, there's a story on there. There's a lot of good ones, so I encourage you to go there. But the cocotazo, the one that I think, is the gal who climbed the Statue of Liberty. And she is, I guess, a naturalized citizen from the Congo, is what I understand.
Wow.
And she climbed all the way to the top. Michelle Obama, it was one of her inspirations, she said. But, we got 30 seconds. I'm going to give you 10 seconds, Sergio.
10 seconds. Well, thank you guys. Thank you, Alice, for letting me be here. Once again, it's an honor to be on the Chips and Salsa show. Once again, reach out to me on Facebook. If you can contribute just $1, that'll help me reach so many people. so many people because we need funds to reach the people that didn't vote. So every person that I talk to, I ask them for at least $1. My goal is to talk to 100,000 people, get $1 from them, and I'll raise $100,000.
I think you're going to do it. Thank you, Chipsters. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Thank you, Sergio Ariano, running for CD3, for being here. I'm Alice Lara. Next week, it'll be George and I will be here. Thank you for listening to Chips and Salsa Show, and please continue to do so during the week. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, and walk on.
Differing points of view. I'm Joe Chiro, Fox News. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is in Tokyo after leading a U.S. delegation for 2 days of talks.